Dear learners, welcome back. This is Jitendra Singh, and we are continuing with the previous session. And in the previous session, we talked about the various concepts of new media, and in this session, we would discuss the evolution of this new media technology, which is the principal topic of the discussion today. So let's begin the session without any more wasting any time. And before going ahead, I would like to mention that what is the newness in this new media and why these new media technologies are called the new media and what makes them different and what makes them new. So what is new about today's new media is that they are digital. Yes, of course, I have discussed and I have told you in the previous session also, these technologies are digital very much, that most of the technologies are on the digital platform, and those who are not on the digital platform are turning into digital. So they are linked and cross-linked with each other. Yes, of course, we see that web pages, we see the different examples of the things available on internet are all linked with each other and are all cross-linked with each other, and the information they mediate is very easily processed. So it is very easy to process that information and to store that information, to transfer that information, to retrieve that information. They are all hyperlinked, and perhaps most radical of all, easily searched for and accessed. So these information on the new media is actually can be easily processed, can be stored, because there are so many devices and every device is available in digital platforms. So these technologies are gives you an opportunity to retrieve your information, to manipulate your information, to store it, to replicate it, to transfer it, to send it to your people, to your friends, to your groups, and to process that information. There are so many applications are available there, and the one major thing that we must learn here, that these are hyperlinked. So the information is hyperlinked, and this is one of the important features of this new media, that the information is hyperlinked. Since media technologies are changing rapidly, key to new media is the notion of technological convergence. So the important feature of new media is the technological convergence. So convergence can be understood as the coming up or the confluence of different technologies at one point. Like earlier we used to read newspapers, which was again a text and pictures visual medium. Then we had radio. Radio was an oral medium. Then came the television. Television is an audio visual medium, and then came the new media, and of course cinema also in between. And cinema gave us an audio-visual medium, but cinema was a different technology. The films were shot on different platforms. They were also not digital, but now the screening of films have also changed. So since these technologies have now come up at a particular platform, and the best example to understand technological convergence is your mobile phones and your computer screens, where you can watch where you not only can watch your programs, favorite television programs, you can read newspapers also and listen to any radio announcements, which is earlier which was not possible on a particular single platform. And for listening of radio, you need to have a radio set with you, or watching a television program, you need to have a television set with you. But now these technologies have given the concept of convergence, and the kind of the content they have, it is all mixed content, which has the text, which has the audio, which has the video, which has the visuals, sound, graphics, animation, cartoons, and all the different media all together. So the multi-platform compatibility of new media allows for some stability that new media are already digital, and the ongoing digitalization of old media allows them to circulate freely and accessed by any digital media platforms without the need for conversion. So as I said, that people have different multiple viewpoints on this technology, and certain people argue that why these technologies are called new, and if these are new and if some other technology arrives in the near future, then what will you call that technology, and what will these technology be called then? So the supporters of this technology have a support by saying this, that these technologies are compatible, multi-platform compatibilities they have. So that is how you don't need to convert any material from digital to from analog to digital now, because they are already into digital platforms. So the ongoing digitization of the old media is also happening. So this is how you can circulate freely, and these information can be accessed by any at any digital media platform easily. And then we have seen that there is a newness in the consumption practices of this new media also. The consumption patterns by the users, the audience, the listeners, there is also a difference in newness in this. That, for example, watching a 2-hour film in a theater or watching a television program at the comfort of your living room is considered now an old practice, because the film producers, the film companies are producing films, and they are distributing their satellite rights also. They are putting their films on OTT platforms, and moreover, every television channel has come up with their own mobile applications where they are putting their programs, so that people who are not watching television can definitely watch those programs on those applications. So these are considered the new practices, and these are the newness in this media. And then the newspapers are being replaced by e-newspapers now, and the people are reading e-newspapers, news websites. So consumption of news is happening, but not through the newspapers, but through e-newspapers, online newspapers. News websites are there, mobile alert services are there. They are all informing us in a different way. So we just don't need to read only newspaper. We don't only rely on newspaper now, and reading a newspaper becomes an old practice now these days. Then reading books is considered an old practice, and the new practice is e-books, audiobooks, books in the form of audiobooks, and podcasts are an alternative platform where you can put your voice, where you can music and audio, and any radio program which the other radio station may not allow you to put your or accept your program, but this is an alternate platform where you can definitely put your programs there. So podcast is the new alternative for radio. And then production of media content, its presentation and distribution have also revolutionized. To understand this, let's take the example of cinema. We would have seen that earlier the making of films, the production of films used to happen on a film material, and now because of the digital technology coming up, we have seen that the films are also producing digital content, and then these films can definitely be screened or distributed everywhere. Even the screening of films is also getting digital. The old projection system have also changed. You can see in your cities, in your towns, that the previous cinema halls are also turning into digital one. There are the concept of single plexes or multiplexes, where the screening of films have also changed. And then there are news stories which are more based on data. As we have seen that not only this, the news stories are also changing, as they are more based on the data available on the internet, and there is no more need of reporters going to the field and collecting every story, because most of the time the stories are being cooked or prepared at the newsroom with the ease of the graphics and with the comfort of different applications, because there are a lot of data available on the internet to create a story. Similarly, the television newsrooms have also given a concept of integrated newsrooms that serve the production of news for broadcast. So there is just one newsroom which is called integrated newsroom these days, and this is how this is different, because at the same newsroom, under the same roof, the content is prepared, which can be delivered, which can be broadcast, which can be webcast, and which can be given into publication. So one news story can be prepared at just under the one roof, which is meant for this broadcast, also for radio and television, and for putting it on different websites, and also which goes to the newspapers also. So this is how the newsrooms are also have changed. So everything is changing with these technologies, and media audience are now the media users, and the users are the content producers. As we see, the concept of user generated content have also arrived. So the media audience are the producers of the content also. So even the TV journalists are also using various social media platforms to engage their audience there. If you remember, earlier there was no use of social media, but now with the invention of these new media technologies, the television journalists who are already so popular are also using the power of social media to connect with their audience who are not using television or who are not reading newspaper, so that they can even the same thing happens with the newspaper journalist also. They are also putting their content, they are connecting with the audience, they are they are creating some snapshots, or they are creating some the threads of their stories, some their glimpses of their stories and what they are doing in the studio, so that they can connect with the audience, those who are available on the internet. So now let's quickly switch on to the important technological inventions and the devices, the different technologies that came along or that helped to contribute or which helped to develop the new media. So what are those technologies? We will definitely talk about such technologies in detail here. So going forward, let's take one by one those technologies, and one of the principal technologies without which I think we could not dream about the new media was the computer. So computer was one of the principal technologies without which we cannot even think about the new media, and it was not possible to this generation would have not seen the new media and the information revolution if this technology was not formed. And it all started with the birth of abacus. You all must be dreaming what abacus is. You might be remembering what abacus is. Abacus is a kind of a wooden rack with horizontal wires and beads strung on it, which was used for making the calculations easier. And there we have seen the use of abacus in Vedic arithmetic also in ancient India. So this was principally the first the thing that gave us an idea to build up a kind of a technology or a system which will help us to do certain tasks, or which will give a birth to a technology called computers. So this is how the journey started with abacus first. Abacus was the first thing. Later on, people started realizing inventions were going on, and there was series of developments from a mechanical calculator by Blaise Pascal in 1642 is credited for giving us a mechanical calculator. And from this to stepped reckoner, another device, another advancement in the technology, which was again a more professional device, and then came the calculator, and then Charles Babbage, who is considered the father of computer, gave us an analytical engine in 1822, to Hermann Holrich's tabulator in 1855. These are different developments in computer technologies which grow by leaps and bounds, and grow by different inventions, and this is how computer became a computer device. And University of Pennsylvania gave us an electronic numerical integrator and calculator, which was ENIAC in 1944. So this is there are so many different inventions. We cannot talk about each and every invention. So I have just taken some of the examples, some of the important remarkable milestones of this journey, so that you could understand how this technology is developed. So I have to exclude certain things because the time will not also allow us to talk about each and everything, and the lecture might create boredom for you. So I'm just putting certain examples which are very important in terms of the technology, and that contributed to the growth of this computer machines. And then the computer machines in the initial years of their development were very large in size. So you should know that the earlier computers, the mainframe computers were there, which were 20 by 40 feet, so long. They were installed in a room, and they were made up of thousands of vacuum tubes. So vacuum tube was one of the important technologies earlier, which was the workforce to operate a computer system and could perform particular arithmetic calculations only. The earlier computer machines were not so much like today's computers, so they could be used to perform certain functions only, and they were limited to certain arithmetic calculations, and they were made up of vacuum tubes. So it was just a simple and discrete device until further developments in the coming years. So in the initial years of the development of computer, it was just considered a discrete or a simple device, and till there were further technologies which we'll discuss in further, until the development of those further technologies which came along in the way, and they helped to give a way to the digital revolution. And then, as I said earlier also, compatibility was a major stumbling block. So compatibility was major issues. One computer could not speak to another computer. They were not compatible with each other. They could not share their data because the data could not be played on another computer. So it was, again, compatibility was a major stumbling block. Then later in mid-90s, the development of a first computer language, COBOL, Common Business Oriented Language. Another programming language, Fortran. Unix, an operating system which is for free use, and other operating system like Windows and others. Graphical user interface, and these all things change the very approach of this technology, this distinct technology which is called the computer. And then later, with the advent of modem and other networking devices, brought the world very closer to us. So these are certain devices which is, gave the concept of networking, which we'll definitely talk about later on. So until networking came, until the other technological inventions came, computer was a simple device, a simple discrete technology. But with the further developments, like computer could grow and it could become a device like computer only with the advent of a language, computer's own language, COBOL and Fortran, which is a programming language, and an operating system to operate that particular system, a graphical user interface, and then the technologies like different technologies like modem and all, networking, transmission channels, and of course the internet. So we'll discuss all this. So the first computers installed in India were imported in 1960s and 70s, and most of them were second and third generation computers, especially IBM mainframe computers were there, and these were IBM mainframes, and they were these computers were based on the technology which is called transistors. So the computers which came to India later on in 1960s and 70s during the years of their development in the Western world. So they were basically, when they came to India, they were mainframe computers, and they were from the IBM company, and they were second and third generation computers. And the principal technology behind them was the transistor. But again, it took several years to reach out to the general public. So computer was not possible to be used by the public in the initial years of development. And in the 90s or in the early 90s, we can say that computer was made for use to the general public. So and then developments in microcomputing. Computer was a large device, as we learned earlier. They were installed in a room. They were 20 by 40 feet large with vacuum tubes. So until the development of microcomputing and the convergence of computer controls with telecommunications, satellites, fiber optics, and digital switches, as well as the liberalization in import policies, also led to the rapid growth of the new media technologies in India. We cannot forget that only these technological developments help to grow new media, but there are certain other things also, as there was a relaxation in the import policies. The Indian market was made open for the foreign investors to come and open their organizations and their manufacturing units in India to import. There was relaxation in the excise duties, which was very heavy, and which was put on devices like computers and television sets, which in the 80s the then government relaxed the policy so that we can hire and we can definitely purchase certain these products and these technologies from the Western world and from the other countries. So not only the technologies, but there was a relaxation in import policies in India. The then government helped the nation with by leading this revolution and by helping in providing a platform for the foreign investors to install and to put their manufacturing units in India, and for computers to find its way in Indian market. So and then the second technology which we must learn and we must know is the transistor. So what is transistor? It is a semiconductor device which is considered as the key component of modern electronic equipment such as radio, calculators, computers and smartphones. So it is you can find this technology everywhere. It is in your radio, in your watches, in your calculators, in your computer machines, in your smartphones. So transistor is everywhere, and it was invented in 1947 by the Bell Laboratories in the United States. So it is a semiconductor device which is considered as one of the important components of the modern electronic equipments. So this is why we have mentioned this transistor. We should definitely know about this. Then what kind of impact these transistors created? Why we are talking about transistors here? What they have to do with us? Why they are so important for us to know about them when we talk about the history or evolution of new media? Because it is a very cost effective and portable device, and it is highly efficient, and it's the lower power consumption of these devices help to reduce the cost of the machine, and also helped in the miniaturization or making this technology available to the audience, and making this technology compact and handy also. So the invention of transistors have replaced the vacuum tubes, as we have learned so far that in the earlier computer machines they were made up of thousands of vacuum tubes which used to take a lot of space. That is how the computer machines were so large in size, and that gave to the advent of transistors gave way to a compact and low cost electronic devices. So it is considered to be the most important inventions that gave way to the digital age. And then the third one is the microprocessor. So what is a microprocessor? It is again a semiconductor chip, and sometimes it is sometimes also it is considered the brain of a computer machine, and that contains logic circuits and considered the brains of the computer, as I said earlier. So the microprocessor was developed at Intel Corporation by Dr. Ted Hoff in 1971 in California. So Dr. Ted Hoff is credited for this invention at Intel Corporation, which creates computer components and other devices. So in California in 1971 he created this device. And what is the use of this microprocessor? A microprocessor, along with the memory, constitutes an essential part of a computer machine. So these computers were mostly found in large computer centers earlier, operated by the industry, government houses and private laboratories, with programmers and trained supportive staff. So earlier the computer machines were only available to the industry and the government houses, because it was an expensive technology and it was not made available to the public that time, and only private laboratories, government houses and industries could afford it. And just because they had certain trained programmers who could work upon it, because using a computer technology at that time was not possible for a layman, because it is a kind of a typical machine. And then they had certain supportive staff also. So a microprocessor along with memory constitutes an essential part of a computer machine, and this made the development of first personal computer to happen. And what we call it a personal device, a personal computer, this happened in in 70s, in early 70s, that the first personal computer was developed with the help of Intel 8080 microprocessor, Altair hardware, and Bill Gates BASIC software. So this was the software named BASIC, and there was an Altair hardware, and Intel 8080A microprocessor was there. They all contributed to the development of first of its kind personal computer, or a desktop computer or a personal computer, which was made possible in the 70s, and thus facilitated the miniaturization of computer and laid the foundation of information revolution. So this is how, if microprocessor was not invented, if transistor was not invented, we could not have seen this technology to be compact and handy and useful for the users. And then there are transmission channels. So transmission channel is a medium that carries signal from one computer to another, and it can be of two types. One is the wired transmission and the other one is called the wireless, the guided or the unguided media also we call it. So some of the inventions that helped in creating a transmission channel was the one of them was the twisted pair cable, which is kind of a twisted pair copper wire, which was used in telephone lines and which is used for transmission of data with certain limitations to it. And then we had coaxial cables in the market, which was later developed, and these were also wired with a proper insulation so that the data loss could not happen, and they gave us high speed transmission with their electrical properties. They were suitable for high speed communication. And then optical fibers came into the market. These are made of finely spun silicon threads. Monochromatic light is being used from a laser for the transmission of information. The transmission through this channel is secure, weather resistant and free from interference. So then came the microwave technology, microwave transmission, which is a wireless medium. Then satellites. So a satellite is used to carry a large amount of data in addition to television signals. A satellite is placed precisely at 36,000 kilometers above the equator, where its orbit speed exactly matches the Earth's rotation speed. Hence, it always stays over the same point with respect to the Earth. So the advent of communication satellites have given the way to 24/7 broadcast of television programs and national broadcasting. Then certain devices which were meant for the replication and storage of the information and media, which is, the first came the magnetic tapes, then the floppy disk, DVDs, CDs, flash drives, pen drives, memory chips, and now the hard disk. If these devices were not developed, we could not save, or we cannot retrieve, we could not store the information. So they also helped us. All these devices helped us to store the media. And then the internet. One of the milestones of this journey is the internet. And what is internet? Internet is a global communication system that connects thousands of different networks. And efforts were made to combine variety of these transmission mediums to form a transmission network. And we can also, we need to also mention the Advanced Research Project Agency, ARPA, in 1969, who developed a data network, and also Timberley's contribution to this technology, who gave us the concept of World Wide Web, who just not only linked the web pages but also gave the concept of Web 2.0, and which is now we further developed into semantic web, and there are more future versions of the Web 2 appear in the near future. So we have seen a lot of technologies, and the time is a constraint and we cannot discuss more on these technologies, but still we should not forget the contribution of Timberley, who gave us the concept of the World Wide Web and the internet. So these all technological developments, starting from computer machines to transistor, microprocessor, and of course your internet, networking devices, transmission channels, modem, satellites, and of course your World Wide Web. These all technological developments gave way to the new concept, which is called the new media. So with this we come to the end of this session, and I hope that you would have a clear-cut idea of how these technologies evolved over the period of time, and what were the technologies that contributed to the phenomenal growth of the new media. So I hope you must be clear with the idea about how these technologies evolved over the period of time. So thank you so much for listening to me, and please stay tuned for more lessons to come. Bye-bye. Take care.